So I was time poor, but essentially I wasn't going to use that as an excuse for just not moving forward. So what I had to do was, just do that little bit extra every day. I use my lunch breaks to check realestate.com.au. I have limited time after hours, but whenever that I do have some breaks, and I use that to check listings, do my due diligences, and try to obviously, attend to any other, property matters as such. So basically once you do a little bit every day, and it's accumulation effect as well.
This is Property Investory, where we talk to successful property investors to find out more about their stories, mindset, and strategies. I'm David Shih, and in this episode on Property Investory, we're chatting again to property investor David Shih, who will reveal how he accumulated 7 cashflow properties within 8 years, while remaining committed to his full-time role as an IT project manager. Firstly, what held him back from initially investing into property?
I think the fear of unknown is probably the main reason why I procrastinated in the early days. Because when I look back, again, apart from the fact that I want to enjoy life, the other thing was I could not understand why people want to take out such a big loan and want to take out such a big debt at that time. It just does not make sense to me. So, and to be honest, like when I was going through my first property purchase, I was very, very nervous. When I was thinking to myself, okay, congratulations, David, you've now just got your first property, but you've also got yourself into a debt that's close to about $300,000. I lost a couple of sleeps because I didn't know what I was getting into, and I haven't had any methodical approach on how to work out the forecasted cash flow at that time. So my mind didn't settle until basically after a few months when I've seen it literally just a simple, rent comes in and interest goes out. It's a simple transaction month by month. And that's when, it wasn't going to affect my lifestyle as such. That's when I started to put my mind back into ease again. So I think it's definitely the fear of unknown and, not having that knowledge of what property investment is. And the other thing that's holding me back is, and I'm sure this is probably the number one question that all investors ask too, is where to buy. Because, for me, securing the first 2 properties in Sydney, and when I was ready to go again in 2015, and this is before I met my mentor, Michael, it took me a while to realize basically the competition in Sydney is just way too crazy, and I definitely need to go somewhere outside of Sydney. And it's challenging to try to buy interstate without any help, without any knowledge about interstate. You'll be literally guided by your fear. Just go, okay, well, what if I buy something that I have not seen, and what if the neighborhood is crap, or what if the house get burned down or got trashed, etc., etc. So there's a lot of fears and unknowns around that point in time as well. And luckily enough, I was able to meet Michael and was able to be guided by him. So that process has become a lot easier. But, having said that, when I look back, if I haven't met Michael at that point in time, I wouldn't be too sure where I would have landed myself today, just because, let's put it this way, it will probably take me a lot longer to try to get to where I am today just because of that unknown factor.
With his mentor, Michael Shih, playing an instrumental role throughout his property investing journey, Shih was also inspired by resources like the Property Chat Forum and books with a focus on mindset and strategy.
From mentoring perspective, he's essentially being my bouncing wall all the time. So when I look at properties, when I look at a deal, I would just bounce off my thoughts through him, and basically he would then give me his perspective. And over time, I was glad that over time I was able to start to see from his perspective and also pick up some of his knowledge, so that, I will get into the habit of asking myself, what would Michael think about this property before I even try to send something across to him. So that definitely plays a critical role in terms of shaping my mindset and get me to where I am today. Having said that, there are also other things that I educated myself with. Good books, podcasts, like, Property Investory, for example, very good podcast, as well as, Property Chat Forum. These are essential, basically two types of educations that I think you need for property investing. So the first type is the mindset, educate yourself on the mindset, and secondly is the technical aspects of property investing. So property investing is a journey. Basically, there will always going to be ups and downs, and to gear for those, you need to build a resilient mindset. And that you can build that via, for example, good books such as Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, The Magic of Thinking Big by David Shih, or even just the classic of the classic, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So these are what I think is the soul foods, and the concept don't just apply to property investing, but also become, how you can become much more successful person in general. So that's the mindset side of things. And the other part is the technical aspect of property investing. So these involves questions such as where to buy, what type of property to buy, and what type of strategies and so on. So again, like good knowledge can be gained via books like 20 must-ask questions for every property investor by Margaret Lomas, or From Zero to 130 Properties in 3.5 Years by Steve McKnight. So, those are additional resources that I use to educate myself on top of what Michael has helped me to achieve where I am today.
So having access to these resources, what has been the most useful advice he has received?
I actually think the best advice I've received today was actually do your own due diligence and take accountability of the decisions that you've made, because I've personally met a lot of investors, and some of their mindset basically just want to have the answer spoon-fed to them, or try to take shortcuts. And unfortunately, there is no shortcuts in life. We all have to, as humans, we all have to make mistakes, and that's how we learn. So everyone has to go through that process, and through the not so perfect decisions that I've made, and that's basically how I've learned to make better investment decisions next time. So, the best advice that I receive is just, you do need to do your own due diligence, because at the end of the day, you are responsible for making the investment decision.
With 7 properties in his portfolio, Shih describes the strategy he implemented that helped him achieve this with the guidance of his mentor.
So following his strategy on positive gear properties, property 3 is in Slacks Creek. It's a high set with downstairs as a studio setup and a bathroom downstairs as well. So that one I bought around $327 at that time, and it's currently renting about $470 at the moment. So yield is really good. Yep, yield is very good. Basically, once I had the first success, I then try to rinse and repeat using the same strategy, and I was able to secure another property in Woodridge for about $295. Again, it's a high set with downstairs having the potential to build out, and there are also a big power ship in the backyard, which can be potentially turned into a granny flat subject to council approval. So property 3 and property 4 are all in Logan, and I had those 2 successes, and they're both giving me really good cash flow. But I'm also mindful that the properties that I bought in those areas are not really investment grade because they're lower socioeconomic areas. And this is just my opinion. In terms of the investment grade, you want to look at blue chip areas, so they're good. They have good fundamentals where they're close to shopping centres or major public transport hubs, or employment opportunities. So those are the key fundamentals that I look at as I believe are investment grade areas.
With this in mind, he conducted more research to broaden his horizons.
So when I was considering property 5, I wanted to start diversifying a little. So that's where I actually look towards north around Moreton Bay, as well as west towards Ipswich areas. When I actually made trips to both, I went to Moreton Bay as well as to Ipswich. Ipswich straight away I ruled out just because there's too much land. I didn't quite like the, just too much land. So to me, that capital growth is literally non-existent. Whereas Moreton Bay is actually interesting because they are planning to build a new university around the Petrie area. And there's been a new North Lakes shopping centre, Westfield shopping centre with Bunnings. So there's a lot of private funding going into the area around Petrie and Kalanga. So that's what, as well as also there's a new train station when I was about to go in when I was looking around then. So naturally, for me, it makes sense for me to look into the Kalanga area. However, the numbers just didn't quite stack up because I was so used to looking at yields at 6 plus 7% plus for the Moreton Bay area. It didn't quite make sense for me. Having said that, I still found something which I was quite comfortable with. For property 5, it was actually a slightly different strategy here. Property 3 and property 4 are very cash flow based. Property 5, I actually step back and go, how did I make my money in my Hornsby purchase? It was great location, it's got good fundamentals, and this is what I want to follow. So for property 5, I actually bought pretty much 5 minutes walking to the train station too, and as close to Petrie as I possibly can. So even though the yield isn't as good, it's not a 7% plus monster, but it was still able to secure me about 5.5% nevertheless. So I was quite happy with that.
Coming up after the break, we'll continue with how Shih applied his strategy to his growing portfolio.
Where in Geelong, I was able to actually find about 5.5% deals. And in particular, I was looking at
discover the book which set him on the right path in his property journey.
Essentially, I think it's by far one of the best books in terms of building a successful mindset and a personal habit. And I think what I said earlier, just doing little bits every day and do it consistently.
And that's next. I'm Tyron Shum, and you're listening to Property Investory. Hey podcast listeners, are you enjoying listening to these stories and want more? Then head over to propertyinvestory.com and subscribe to receive your free property case studies that I only send exclusively via email. Just one of the many benefits of being part of this community. These real case studies are from experienced property investors where they share specific numbers of their portfolio, their strategies, and much more. Simply visit propertyinvestory.com to get your free case studies. Now back to the show. Shih located 2 more suitable properties in Logan and Newcombe, where he found the potential for improvement.
So after property 5, again, I was looking at diversify, but there was a deal in Logan that just dragged me back. Property 6 is again back in Logan, but this time it's in Eagleby. So slightly different area in Logan from the first 2 that I bought. And this one is basically a corner block, 750 square meters, which is what attracted me that. Because in Southeast Queensland, if it's a corner block sitting on a 750 square meters, it's got subdivision potential, basically. So that's what attracted me because I've always wanted to do something that has a subdivision potential. That's why this deal sort of attracted me, and it was sitting on a pretty 6% return already. So that's why I thought, okay, well, the deal is what's really attracted me. So I don't really care where it is. I'm just going to jump in. So that was property 6. So after property 6, I'm well aware that I've got 4 properties in Queensland in the latest buying cycle. That's why I'm starting to look for different states again. Just keep in mind, I don't want to put everything in one basket. So I've checked in Adelaide, and unfortunately, I wasn't sold on Adelaide, despite the yield is really good. I just wasn't sold on the employment opportunities and the fundamentals in Adelaide in comparison with obviously the Brisbane, the Sydney, and the Melbourne that it has. So that's why instead of Adelaide, I've turned my eyes again into Melbourne at that point in time. So in Melbourne, unfortunately, the yield across the board is quite poor. So and I wanted to get something around the 5% to 5.5%. So given my budget and given that target, I was naturally being guided towards Geelong. Okay, so in Geelong, I was able to actually find about 5.5% deals. And in particular, I was looking at Newcombe, which is about 3 kilometres east of Geelong CBD. And those 5.5% deals that I was looking at, unfortunately, they are already sitting on a subdivided land. That's the only unfortunate thing. But nevertheless, that's what guided me first to Geelong. And then upon the due diligence, that's what attracted me to Newcombe, because this area is so close to Geelong CBD, yet the price range is very, very affordable. Newcombe is actually right next to East Geelong. East Geelong has a median price of about 500,000 plus. When I purchased the Newcombe property earlier this year, it was still sitting at median price about $300,000. So it makes a lot of sense to obviously jump into that, because I'm sure the ripple effect would come across at one point in time.
From there, he eventually found a great opportunity in Newcombe, which would allow him to add value and generate equity.
So I look hard in Newcombe, and property 7 then landed is a 2-bedroom brick house sitting on a 520 square meter corner block in Newcombe. Now, I purchased this one as a 2-bedder, but the reason I purchased that is also it's got potential to turn to 3-bedder. So I saw the opportunity when I was inspecting the property. Luckily enough, the agent didn't include what they call the floor plan on the website. So when I go into the property, I naturally have a floor plan myself in the brain, and I go, that's an enormous lounge room there. And when I look closer, it's got the beam which used to be the wall that secluded the bedroom free. So when I look at that, basically I just go, this is the deal, because if I just spend a couple more grants, I will then be able to turn this 2-bedder into a 3-bedder and generate instant equity.
Many investors who maintain their 9-to-5 job find it challenging to set time aside for researching property. Shih has made a habit of doing this, which in turn has helped him to successfully reach his goals.
I have been trying to do a little bit extra every day, applying the slight edge principle. So, for example, I did say that in part 1, I have a very busy day job, and as such, very little time to be able to look at properties, etc., etc. So I was time poor, but essentially I wasn't going to use that as an excuse for just not moving forward. So what I had to do was, just do that little bit extra every day. I use my lunch breaks to check realestate.com.au. I have limited time after hours, but whenever that I do have some breaks, and I use that to check listings, do my due diligences, and try to obviously, attend to any other, property matters as such. So basically, once you turn once you do a little bit every day, and it's accumulation effect as well. And that's basically where I was able to get myself, despite in a busy schedule, to be able to get to up to 7 properties today.
Over 8 years, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson has had a profound impact on his life and has been another driving force behind his intent to invest in property.
It's been a fantastic book, and obviously I don't want to give the the audiences all the details because that will stop them from reading. But essentially, I think it's by far one of the best books in terms of building a successful mindset and a personal habit. And I think what I said earlier, just doing little bits every day and do it consistently, that compounding effect over time is the key to generating the big outcome. So that is essentially the crux of the book, per se, and it's simple, but it's not easy, because to be able to do something consistently every day means you need to dedicate yourself that time and that effort. But if you are able to do that, and if you have a very strong goal that you want to achieve, that automatically will drive you towards that outcome anyway. So, when I read the book, it basically just resonates with me and go, this is exactly what I have been doing. And it essentially takes me to the next level and go, okay, and wow, the compounding effect is actually happening. And it's just an amazing feeling. Even to date, that doesn't stop. So it's just becoming a habit, and when it becomes a habit, it's hard to shake off too. And not that you want to shake it off, but when you have a passion about something, you will automatically want to, will be driven and want to achieve a certain outcome that you wanted to achieve.
So, if Shih were to meet his past self from 10 years ago, what would he say to him?
I would ask him very nicely again. I would say, please start investing early and don't procrastinate. Because if I started planting the seeds at an earlier stage, then today, again, I would be at a different height today. So that will be my advice, basically, to any investors. No time is the best time to buy. Today is the best day as long as you can afford it, and obviously you need to have a comfortable level yourself as well, given everybody has different type of financial situations. But start planting the seeds today in order to reap the rewards tomorrow.
Now, Shih is excited to be able to aid other investors in their property journeys and watch them achieve their goals in the same way he has achieved his own.
I think the good thing about having done so many different things is that I actually have tried out so many numerous things along the way and strategy. I have amassed a lot of knowledge and experiences in various areas. And what I'm finding is I was able to use that knowledge to help the people, my friends, my colleagues, or even just people from online, to basically help them in their property journey, and how I was able to avoid them from making the same mistakes that I had. And be able to see them to obviously move forward is as happy as how I'm seeing myself moving forward. So I guess just the nature of being able to help people and to use the knowledge that I have accumulated over the years to be able to help the people that I know in their property investment journey. That's, to me, is a sensational achievement and accomplishment. And just like how Michael initially educated me and brought me through the journey, I just want to return a favor to the community now by doing the same thing and to help them, in whichever way that I can.
In his plans for the future, he believes in giving all that he's got in order to achieve his goals, even if it means giving up his job in IT.
IT has always been part of my passion, but having said that, I think I've now gained enough mindset myself, and if it means that I need to dedicate my time to something else that will get me to my goal faster, then I would have no hesitation to move that direction. I would want to be able to help as many people as I possibly can in terms of their property investment journey, just because I've been started doing it and I absolutely love the process. I absolutely love the way how I can actually help people with the ability, with my knowledge that I have. So that is a fabulous experience that I have myself, and I don't think I see that as a job or career or anything per se. It's just something that I'll wake up and I go, oh right, how can I help more people today? How can I make the world better? That type of feeling.
If you wish to connect with Shih, you can reach out to him via.
I do have a blog which basically details a lot of my journeys, a lot of my mistakes, a lot of the lessons learned. So I would suggest that people can reach me from my blog, which is at My Property Stories. That's one word, mypropertystories.wordpress.com.
Thank you to David Shih, our guest on this episode of Property Investory. If you want to hear more about his journey, then visit our website at propertyinvestory.com. Simply type in the search bar David Shih and select that episode to learn more about his story. Also, if you haven't subscribed to receive your free property case studies that I only send out exclusively via email, you can text me your email address to 04 99 88 10 40 to subscribe. These real case studies are from experienced property investors where they share specific numbers of their portfolio, the strategies, and much more. Simply text me your email address to 04 99 88 10 40 to get your free case studies. Thanks for listening.